Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. You know, as I was sitting here, waiting for the show to start and just feeling the energy of the room and feeling, just the energy of life in a way. I mean, the one phrase that kept coming through me was, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I was just thinking, there's so much beauty and so much glory on this planet, on the potential for us as human beings to come together, to share the bounty in a way that's equitable and fair and loving, and in an experience and a realization of the love and the oneness and the connection between us all. And how that opportunity is here for us. And that opportunity is really now. It's now in every moment. It's now in every breath. It's now in every opportunity for us as a species on this planet to realize how we're loved in whatever way we look at our lives. If we think there's a superior power or a God or a Brahman or a truth or a oneness or a creator, how blessed we all are, regardless of how we look at that. What a glorious planet. How all of it really potentially is here for us to shine, to play, to create, to experience. The preciousness of every minute, the preciousness of every day, the preciousness of each other, the preciousness of the trees and the dolphins and the whales and the mountains and the dew and just all of it. And each of us, although we might look a little different, or taller or shorter, or blacker or whiter, we might think we have different religions or different countries. In our heart we know there is a love, a oneness, a transcendental quality that we want to awaken to, that we want to know the truth about, that we want to experience. And how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. And the opportunity really is now in so many ways, in so many spokes on the wheel, the way we talk about them, for that awakening, for that understanding, for that realization to become real in a human's life. The energy of the planet is just exploding underneath the craziness, in a sense, bubbling from within and from without, of the end of the old paradigm, the beginning of the paradigm of love, of connection. And how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. And how many of us, when we wake up and spend our days living this life, feel that joy, feel that bliss, count the ways that they are loved by life. So many gifts for all of us. And we can do it. We can do it together. And that's beginning to happen, and it's happening more and more. And tonight's guest has dedicated and devoted his life to that awakening. He's a teacher of awakening. He's an author. He's a workshop leader. He travels the world teaching how to awaken to inner peace and freedom. He's written at least 3 books that I know of, just extraordinary books, The Way of Harmony and The Ultimate Cure. And he's got an extraordinary new book out, End Your Story, Begin Your Life, the revolutionary practice that sets you free. And Jim Dreaver's life is about that love, that awakening, that connection, that realization. And more, that's what his life is just a manifestation of. And as he walks on this planet, and as he does workshops or seminars, he's vibrating that realization. And we're honored to have him here with us to share. And as we normally do, we have 2 extraordinary videos. This Sean Gallaway, it's a new piece. We have shown it once before in Bridging, but the response was so great that we wanted to show it again. I Choose Love. And good choice, I Choose Love. And then another extraordinary video, Les Carney and put together this beautiful piece about Don Alejandro, an incredible modern-day shaman. He and Les Carney and Steve Copeland put it together, and it's just an unbelievable piece. And then, as most of you know, we also have art, you know, because we're in the middle of this world opening, world expanding art project that came as a vision, and we have two people here who've put in pictures. One is a photographer, Jojo Shakin, and the other is an extraordinary artist, Lisa Fende, and you'll see two pictures or two pieces of art of theirs. And it's all about the connection. It's all about the, how do I love thee? And we know that the love is grander, is bigger, is more connected, is more opportunistic of the truth of our lives. So join me in a short meditation, and then we'll have a video, and then Jim will be with us. And again, it's an opportunity to experience, it's an opportunity to awaken. So join me in a short meditation. Thank you. So the first video tonight is Sean Gallaway, I Choose Love, and then Jim will be with us. I Choose Love. Enjoy.
From my die. I see us dawning as one world united. So what do you choose? Love or fear? Oh, we choose. I choose to live with freedom flying from my heart where the light keeps shining. And I choose to feel the whole world crying. And I choose to feel one voice rising. And I choose to feel us all united in the strength that we can rise above. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. Love. I choose love. I choose love. Woo! I choose love. Oh, I choose love.
Hi everybody, welcome back. So that was a beautiful video, I Choose Love. Good idea, don't you think? And the picture you're seeing in between us is Lisa Fanday, Pathways to Paradise, another piece that's coming for the art project. Whatever people feel to manifest, bridging heaven and earth, and it's just all different formats, all different styles, sizes from all over the world. Everyone's welcome. It's infinite, it's inclusive. So if anybody's interested, please join us. So we're on the set with Jim. Welcome, Jim. It's great,
Hey.
great to finally have you here.
Good to be here.
Yeah. So I talked in the opening a little about awakening, and
Yes.
you know, and we were talking earlier about a teacher of awakening. Why don't you talk about? You know, it's interesting because when I started to think about the opening right before it started, I
Right.
thought, am I going to talk about awakening to what? And then it came out with, you know,
Right.
how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. So maybe you need to talk about what do we need to awaken to? What are we asleep about? Why don't you talk a little about that?
Okay, we need to awaken to reality here and now. We get lost in the dramas inside our head, the stories. And the title of my new book is called End Your Story, Begin Your Life. And when we're lost in the dramas inside our head, they play out emotionally in our bodies. So when we wake up, is waking up to the fact that you're not your story, you're the consciousness that creates the story, that the presence, the awareness that creates the story. And when you see that, it's like you wake up. You maybe have a mini awakening, and then you can really love and be here. That's, in a nutshell, that's what it is. So it takes time, though, to see that we're not our stories. And it's a long.
And what would like normal? What were your stories before you realized that they were stories and you didn't want them to be your story?
Right. Good question. Gosh, I have to think about it. It's in my book, actually. I tell my story at the end of my book. I say the appendix. This is my story, and this is the story of how I came to the realization that I'm not my story. So. The normal human dramas of the story. I was a New Zealander and an army officer, and I had these identities, and I wanted to be successful in various ways. And But what I really wanted to do was wake up and get enlightened or self-realized.
Be happy.
Ultimately, that's the bottom line,
right.
Be at peace, be in the flow. And so I got freer and freer because I had a teacher, a guide, who guided me on this journey. And he taught me that to look within, to look at myself, to see that, and that I was not the story, I was what was seeing the story. It's constantly coming back to the seeing. We are the seeing. To be awake means you know yourself as the seeing. So you're the seeing that's manifesting right here, right now. We still have a body, we still have a mind, personality, but when you know yourself as the seeing, what's behind it all, that's freedom. And that's when you're in the flow. And it feels good to be in the flow. Because you have no resistance, no reactions. No, you just, whatever it is, you flow with it. Yeah, that's...
And why do you think it is? I mean, clearly on this planet, people believe the story. I mean, there's a tremendous momentum and a tremendous habitualness to the stories and all the different stories and the stories of religion and color. You know, the strong stories.
Right, which
male,
is why
female.
we have so much conflict.
Right.
All
So how did we go from like a child who doesn't have a story in a way? So why don't you describe the process and get us out of it while you're at it? Maybe that'll be the second half. Get us out of this story.
Well, you know, we were born innocent. And up until about age 2, we're just pure being. Pure sensation, pure experience, pure emotion. And we're just responding to the moment. But then somewhere around age 2, the sense of I, of being a separate self, develops between our ears. We become identified with that. That becomes our identity. Me, myself, and my story is the reality that we have between our ears. And it just gets heavier and heavier. And by the time we're in our 20s, we're really locked into a story. And so this work is, the work that I teach, and many others are teaching too, is all about coming back to something pure and original within us, which is behind the stories. We still have a story. We always have a story, but now we know we're not our story. We are this awareness, this knowingness, this beingness that is present right now. Right now. And so that's the, and then we can truly love, because when we're not attached to any story, or not identified with any story, our love is truly unconditional. And you know, your show is about the oneness, about love ultimately. And so we can really love unconditionally, because there are no conditions on our love, because we're not identified with any story about how love should be. And yeah.
And so how does one begin to, would you call it unraveling the story? Would you call it, you know, cutting to the experience of the no story? I mean, what was your path, and how do you teach it now? How does that work for you?
Well, how I teach it now, I just taught a workshop at Esalen Institute, and I basically have people tell their story, the significant events in their story, like the traumas, the upsets, the successes, kind of in the first day or two. And so they get the story out and they can see it. That's my story. And of course, most people love to tell their story, right? They love talking about themselves. And but at the same time, because I'm very present in the workshop, I'm encouraging people to see throughout the workshop that they're not their story, they're what is creating the story. Because the story is only really a memory, but it has psychological and emotional implications in the body. But when you get free of the story, your emotional state relaxes and becomes, that's what I call living in the flow. You become more relaxed, more at peace, more at ease in general. And yeah, and finally one day, and it takes a long time, it took me 20 years to wake up.
And was that a process for you, or were you
Yeah,
less asleep and more awake? Or
Yeah, but I had an enlightenment experience at the age of 29, and that convinced me this is what I wanted. I wanted to wake up and live in the flow, be happy. And I spent the next 18 years kind of learning how to do that, going to workshops, seeking out teachers. I was learning to Krishnamurti for a while, and then I met this guy named Jean Klein, who was my teacher, and he kind of guided me back to my real nature, my true nature, through this process of seeing that you're not your story. It's totally a function of perception. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to do yoga. You've got to see that what is real. And what is real is, how I put it in the book, is this: everything that can be seen changes, all right? Your body changes, your beliefs change, your story changes, we grow older, the seasons change, the weather changes. But there's something that never changes, and that is the seeing, the pure seeing of all the changes. That never changes. And to be awake is to know yourself as the pure seeing. And that's what they call liberation, because it's very liberating to know yourself, wow, I'm the seeing.
And in other terms, in other traditions, would you say? I mean, are you experiencing God within? Are you experiencing the Father and I are one? I mean, how does this? I mean, it's not only a thinking; it's an experiencing and a knowing in a more direct way. Would you say?
It's a knowing, yeah, because our ideas about God are ultimately only a story too. So, God is a nice word to describe the ultimate, but it's only a story. And the experience of the ultimate is what's more important, being awake to the ultimate. And so, like right here, right now, we're just being with each other. And it's kind of artificial because we're talking and having this dialogue for the camera. But really, what is here right now is the essence of love and presence and beingness.
It's a shame we do a talk show. No, I mean, it's happened before. I mean, you do the show and it's like there's so much love. It's like there's nothing to say.
Right, exactly.
And we're doing a talk show, and
Right.
we live in a planet. But it's interesting. We've been talking about this, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it, because you've spent so much time in the knowing, in the seeking of the knowing, and all. But,
Right.
I really see this time as like, the show is called Bridging Heaven and Earth, and somehow we're on this bridge of new paradigms. New
Right.
paradigms in money, relationships. And, it's not like we're going to go third dimension, fifth dimension, but it's like, so how is all this stuff on the bridge going to be? How are we going to work and collaborate together, in that experience, and manifest and do art and do talk shows and do workshops, knowing there's nothing to say?
Yeah.
There's nothing to create in a way. Why don't you talk a little about that?
Okay. I write about that in my book. In the first section of the book, I talk about my vision. And exactly what you're describing, a vision of the world where people are not identified with their stories, but identify with their true nature of being. And there's people all across the world identify with their beingness. And the world works then. Everything's beautiful. We're creative, and we build new things, and we have a spirit of competition that is not the old form of competition, but a competition which says, hey, good on you, you're cheering each other on, and you're encouraging each other.
True collaboration.
To be your best.
Right.
And so it's a true collaboration, spirit of cooperation. And that's where love is, in the cooperation and the collaboration. So that's my vision. Maybe it'll take us, 50 years to get there, or more likely 500 or 5,000. I don't know, but it's not.
That's not the issue.
It's not the issue. It's just like we're doing it right now. We're being it right now.
Yeah, we talk about it as like being love in motion. How would that be? We don't know, but
Right.
it would be beautiful. And how would we interact, and how, all the ways it would fit, we're not sure, but it doesn't matter because
Right.
it's just going to be beautiful.
Yeah, it's and I talk about being in the book. Most people do what they do in order to have what they're seeking, their goals and dreams, so they can be happy. But that's not the way to do it. It's not the way that I'm teaching, and many other people teach this too. But I teach the art of being first, like how to be at ease and relaxed with yourself, and how to just be in the moment, be present in the moment. And then out of that beingness flows the next thing to do. You see what needs to be done, or you pursue what you really want to do, some dream or goal or vision. And then you have the result of that thing. But you're not dependent on the result for your well-being, because
There is no result, in a way.
because you're already established
Right.
in beingness.
The
You're
path
at
is-
peace, right? So that it really is in the journey, not the destination. And the results are great, and they're to be welcomed, and successes to be enjoyed. But what's more important is the journey, the sharing.
But we were talking earlier, it's an infinite journey, so, you're never there, and you're never not there.
Right.
So, it's
Yeah.
just, go ahead, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, do you, in your experience, you travel a lot and you do workshops, do you find more and more people coming into wanting to know new ways, wanting to come back home, if you'd call it,
Yeah.
wanting to come into an authenticness, and they realize that their identifications are so silly and so phony on some level?
Yeah. That's happening more and more. I just was in Boulder recently and doing a workshop, and I'm going back there in a couple of months, and people are wanting to wake up, to be more present, to be here now. You've got to honor the past and the stories of the past, and you've got to keep an eye on the goals and dreams for the future. You've got to live right here, right now. And just, when you understand that, there's something freeing about that.
Okay, well, at some point, when you were in the book and you were talking about it, like at a point 18 years before another thing happened, you had an experience that there is this freedom, there is this love. What took you 20 years to unwind, and are the tools you're teaching now in terms of human time being able to speed that up and bring that authenticness more into a human life?
I think so, yeah. I think the teachings are more available now. They're getting, teachers are getting better. It's one thing to wake up, but it's another to teach it. And so my journey as a teacher has been unfolding for the last 12 years, and I kind of get clearer and clearer. And it's a process. It's a process of teaching clarity, teaching clear thinking, and above all, seeing that you're not your mind. You have thoughts. You have a story, but you're not your thoughts, you're not your story. It's knowing yourself as the consciousness, the presence, the awareness that is right now, expressing through our bodies, through our personalities, the unique personality called you and me. And
Well, I think the thing that would be interesting for people, and maybe we'll, do partly that in the next section, but, maybe you can just begin to talk about, a lot of past use meditation techniques or yogic techniques to slow the mind down, or to stop the world, or, something to have an experience of that
oneness,
the infiniteness, the experience, that you are something other than these things you've identified with all these years. In your way of teaching it, is that also part of it? You talked about meditation not being, but why don't you talk a little about that?
I teach a meditation practice, which is really just stepping back behind ourselves slightly. And then this is more the real us, and it's more a mountaintop perspective, but it's very present right here, right now. And then you visualize the length and breadth of your body within your awareness. And you visualize the thoughts in your mind within your awareness, and the sensations and feelings in your body arising and falling away within the awareness that you are. And that's a practice that gets people into a space of relaxation and spaciousness and calmness and ease pretty quickly. And they can see more, wow, that this is what real. They get a taste of their true nature.
It feels like harmony as opposed to disharmony.
Right.
And then you start to think, this is a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. It
Harmony feels a lot better
it
than
feels better,
disharmony.
yeah.
It's not as discordant, it's not as...
Right.
You know, I mean, it's interesting with that experience, like you can feel like, you know, almost high, and then you feel, when you believe your story, you go right into your, you know, your solo play, and, you know, it doesn't feel as good.
Right, so that stepping back with your awareness, whenever conflict arises, I teach people that. Whenever conflict or suffering arises, step back with your awareness, and you'll get a little freedom from it. You're still very present, you're still very much here, but you're freer from that, and that can be extraordinary.
Okay, maybe what we'll do is we'll show the second video, another incredible piece. We'll come back with Jim and talk about that a little. Okay, so the second video is by Les Carney and Steve Copeland, Shift of the Ages. It's about this wonderful, amazing spiritual teacher, modern-day shaman, high priest, Mayan, of the Mayan prophecies, Don Alejandro. They call him Wandering Wolf. It's a beautiful video, and then we'll come back and we have another beautiful art piece. So it's called Shift of the Ages. Enjoy.
Some people say that the rotation of the Earth might change when we go through it.
They talk about the changing of it's a shift, a shifting, physically shifting of the Earth. Like the poles will move to, you know, in different place, different position.
This movie will be first step for the opening, for getting, for feeling, you know, the need of getting a better world, to clean the world, to stop violence, to begin being like brothers and sisters, to be closer, to see that there is no difference between religions, between races, no borders. This is the beginning, because I think that the whole world is tired of violence. I believe that everybody is tired of wars. We want peace, and we have to insist that our governments stop these wars.
He started howling like a wolf.
And that's how he got his name, Wandering Wolf.
That's when they gave him Wandering Wolf for a name. Wandering Wolf, and also you are, as of now, you are the voice of the jungle and the messenger of the Mayans.
Nosotros, los guías espirituales, estamos dando cuenta de lo que hay en el futuro. La vida de nosotros, no pensamos solo la vida de nosotros, pensamos la vida de nuestros hijos.
you are, you can feel it. In any moment, looking to the stars especially, you just feel more powerful.
Hi everybody, welcome back. So that was a beautiful video. Thank you Les, thank you C for sending that to us. And the beautiful photograph you're seeing in between, this is Jojo Shiken, meditation. Jojo's a new friend of Bridging, and he's just, really dedicated to expressing that love, expressing that oneness through his photography, and here's one of them, meditation. So I don't know if you can see it and feel the power of it, but it's definitely there. So welcome back, Jim. It's great to be back again. So we were talking earlier about the process,
right.
Of the awakening, of the recognition of that you're not your story, that there is something behind the story, there's a consciousness.
Yeah.
And you teach workshops all over the world that
not
help.
all over the world, but maybe. I'm talking to a guy from Sweden next week, so maybe I'll be
Well, it's funny because I say a lot of stuff on the show and it ends up happening soon thereafter. Yeah. We were talking, we had a guest on the show who was a musician, and all of a sudden I started talking about him doing this, Broadway thing. And he said, I've been thinking about it, now I have to do it. He's doing this thing with Camelot, a new kind of Camelot, starting where the other one ended, and he's putting it together. So you will be traveling all over the world. So, and you have different practices to do that, different teaching tools and techniques.
Right.
So would you like to maybe do one for the the audience?
Do my main technique, the main practice that I do, the revolutionary practices that sets you free. So just be really present in your body, be here now, and just step back with your awareness to a position slightly behind and above your head. So you're looking down slightly behind and above your head. You're looking through your eyes. You're still here, but you can envision in your clear awareness the length and breadth of your body within your awareness. And notice the breathing. The breathing happens within your awareness in your body. It shifts and changes the flow of the breath, but the awareness that you are never changes. And notice the sensations and feelings in your body. They come and go too. But the awareness that you are, which notices them, always just is. Notice the thoughts and images passing through your mind, the stories in your mind. They shift and change all the time. Beliefs, pictures, images. But you're the witness, the awareness that watches those stories arising in your mind. And that never changes. You are the changeless awareness that notices everything arising in your body, your mind, your personality. Even the thoughts, I, me, and mine. You can notice those thoughts. You can step back and notice a thought, oh, I was thinking that thought, I am hungry, or I am tired, or I must call my mother, or whatever. You can notice those thoughts. So you're not the thought, you're what is noticing. And this work of awakening is constantly coming back to what notices everything. And coming back to the awareness of yourself as that which notices. Pure awareness, pure consciousness. And then come back into your body and just rest and be here in your body. So whenever you have conflict, whenever you're suffering, whenever you're caught up in some kind of drama, that's a signal to step back with your awareness, stop, get really present, and just pay attention to what is arising and realizing you're not that. You're the noticing of what arises. Do that often, whenever you're suffering, whenever you're in conflict, and I promise you, it'll eventually lead to freedom, to the freedom that is your true nature. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, I mean, would you say it's those practices are a way to change the momentum, to unwind the
Right.
habit patterns?
Exactly. It's coming back to our true nature, which is pure, timeless, luminous consciousness or awareness that is manifesting right here, right now. This is a way of getting off the wheel, if you like, the wheel of karma, of cause and effect, and experiencing yourself as this awareness, this consciousness, this luminous presence that is here right now, beaming love and other good feelings to each other.
Some of the other paths, like obviously we've done this show a long time. We've had guests with different spokes on the wheel and different teaching techniques and all that. And this technique seems like an unwinding of the onion or a peeling of the onion a layer at a time. And others are more apt to be more abrupt in a sense, or more radical is probably the wrong word, but in other words, like people talk about ayahuascas or drug-induced states of things, or shamanistic practices, or meditating for weeks on end or something. How does that line up with what you're talking about?
Well, the drug path, meditation, all of those practices can give us a glimpse of our true nature. But and I've done them all myself in the past. But what I really wanted to do was find that practice which would awaken. And my teacher, Jean Klein, was the one who introduced me to this practice. It was the only practice he taught, of stepping back with your awareness. And so that's what I've found is the most valuable practice for helping stop the train of thought and just identify with it and get more in touch with your true nature, which is awareness itself. And, Jean Klein said when he was in India, just after the Second World War, he was studying with an Advaita master, a non-dual master. And he said, gradually I became less identified with nama rupa, name and form. So that's what we're doing, but it's a practice for the West, or really a practice for our modern times. Of just, when you're in conflict, stop, get really present, step back with your awareness, notice your body, mind, your story, realize you're not that, you are the awareness that is looking at it. And the more you do the practice, the more it becomes second nature. And one day, the energy of conflict and suffering will wind itself down, and you'll experience more and more peace. You'll be in the flow more. And then when you're in the flow, life just happens, and whatever happens, and you flow with it, you deal with it. You're always present. You honor the past, the memories and the stories of the past. You keep an eye on your goals and dreams for the future, but you live right here, right now.
You've talked, I think, a couple of times, or I know it's been in your book, non-dual.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
The non-dual really means that reality is one. Right? It's all right here. That's why I don't call myself a spiritual teacher. I call myself a teacher of awakening if I have to call myself anything, because spiritual teacher suggests that there's a spiritual reality and then there's the material reality.
There's a separation.
And there's a separation. And the tradition that I was taught in, the non-dual tradition, says, hey, it's all one. So it's the spiritual and material are really artificial divisions. Yeah.
Right.
And when we go in and search for ourselves, we think that's spiritual. And it is, in a way it is. We're connecting with more with our spirit, but ultimately there's no difference. The spiritual is the material is the spiritual. It's all one reality, or the non-dual reality. It's just here now. It's happening here right now. There's no other reality out there. People. Someone was asking me as I was driving over here about angels and entities, and I haven't experienced them personally, but when I do, I'll be here now with them. So
we should call you then.
Yeah, right. we can get lost in stories about people. This reality sucks. That's their experience. So they want to find it something sweeter or more blissful, and so they go into angelic realms or, the reverie or the past or something. But it's all waking up. Awakening is all about being here now, and awakening to what is here now, life here now. When you gave your introduction, you talked about a bit about that, the dew and the beautiful trees and the weather, and it's all right here, right now. It strikes me as tricky because at a certain point you realize, like, really that's the way it is, and all my identifications with what's on my driver's license, with height and weight and age and all those things. I mean, they're still there, like you were saying, but they're so small in a sense compared to the vastness of what you really are, in a sense. Right.
That the weight we give that is like it's like a miracle, in a sense. How we've been so misguided or confused. Or
right.
Why don't you talk a little about that?
Getting identified with our stories. That's having my book, the End Your Story and Begin Your Life book. The story actually, a guy asked me when to prove that consciousness was his true nature. And it happened to be a Jewish guy. And he said, because I'm a Jew, and that's my identity. And I said, well, you're conscious of the fact that you're a Jew, right? And he said, yeah. I said, well, that proves my point. Consciousness is always prior to anything. Consciousness is always prior. I mean, one view of the universe has that the consciousness is the underlying substratum of the universe. Like, it all comes out of consciousness. So we can honor our identity, our Jewish identity or Christian or Muslim, but to know ourselves as consciousness first, that's what awakening means. To awaken to yourself as consciousness first. Consciousness as manifesting in this body-mind personality. And that's when it becomes unconditional, because in consciousness there are no conditions. But consciousness, paradoxically, is the source and ground of all conditions. But once we know ourselves as consciousness, as presence, as awareness, then we can honor our Muslim identity or Jewish identity or Christian identity. Then we can honor our ethnic story, our tribal story. But we don't get lost in it. But when we're not awake to that reality of consciousness, we have we get identified with the story, with the driver's license, with the people in Iraq were being killed because of their names on the driver's license. They were Shiite and they're being slaughtered by Sunnis, or they were Sunni and being slaughtered by Shiites. I mean, that's absurd.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah,
really,
right.
It's a miracle on some level that we still believe in that and we still act from that story, that idea.
But up until age 2, we were innocent and we're beautiful. So that's why Jesus said, except ye be as a little child, you should not enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, that's what he meant. He wasn't saying to become childlike again, but just to become...
No, not childish, but childlike.
Right, exactly. Right. To have the innocence of a child. And the innocence of a child is simply this present awareness.
Yeah, before all the momentum and the identities and the
concepts.
Exactly,
yeah. So that's my message. That's in a nutshell. It's a very simple message. Wake up to your true nature and you'll be free. But it takes time to get there because the stories are deep-rooted in our personalities.
I mean, that's why I talk about the art project being infinite and inclusive. I mean, to break down the barriers more and more. And whatever explanation we give, we talk about a lot as being, just cutting a piece of infinity out. But how can we experience the ends to infinity? You know what I mean?
Right. To be in the knowledge of infinity, just be being with the what is. That's how we experience it. when you have no story going on your mind, just simply present in the flow of what is. It's beautiful. It's like, and this is why your show is so valuable, because it's, you're doing really good work. And
Keep talking about that. We got no. I was kidding. No.
no, you are doing good work, and the message is gradually reaching more and more people.
You know, I think really what we were talking about earlier is it's really a time for that, where it just, people are coming. You know, we were saying earlier that if we had, you know, the proper facilities or the proper, you know, assets available, we could do literally 300 shows a year with extraordinary beings coming forth with so many different ways to reach that consciousness, reach that awareness now.
The oneness.
The oneness, because we get books and tapes and CDs literally from all over the planet. They're so far out. You know, we wish we could have more time to do shows, because there are so many beautiful messages as manifested in art and workshops and books and music and CDs, and it's unbelievable now. And we really see it happening, that new paradigms are being built, that people are much more willing to collaborate, that people are much more willing to, like you were saying, you know, really be helping each other to be better, in a sense, but be better together.
Right.
You know, we talk about that everything's perfect and getting better.
Yeah, that's a good.
Is that a good?
Yeah, good saying.
Because everything we're doing, in a way, you know, the show could be have better equipment and better this, and we can, you know, bigger studio and more this and more, but everything about it is perfect the way it is.
It is, yeah. So the more you awaken to the fact that you're not your story, not any story, the whole reality between your ears is unreal, which is what awakening means. You see that the whole me, myself, and my story reality is not real. We have a name because of we need to identify ourselves, but I'm not Jim Dreaver. That's just my handle. Just like you have an email handle. But when you see that, and the more you see that, the more you realize, wow, I can then create from nothing. You create something out of nothing. And that's the source of true creation. Like you're wishing you hold the vision of having more funding for videos or something like that. You hold that intention and you sit down and kind of review that intention just for a minute, once a day, and with a clear mind, because you now know you're not your thoughts. Then you can use the power of thought to create with, because everything man-made, human-made, from the smallest microchip to the biggest skyscraper, started as an idea in someone's mind. So thoughts are very powerful. Creation is very powerful, and the more awake we are to reality, to the truth that we're not our story, then the more free we are to really create some powerful stories, new stories.
There's no resistance.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Because we always have a story, but the key to awakening is to know you're not your story.
And even at some point, you really feel like you're love in motion, and you're not believing your story as you're passing through it.
Yeah.
You know, so, and actually we're coming to the end of this particular story, so, you know, really, it's an opportunity. Thanks, really, for being here and being with us. But, okay, so we're coming to the end. If you want any information about Jim, the books, the workshops, you know, give me a call, Alan, 805-687-2053, 805-687-2053. Good night. God bless you.